Transferring seized guns to someone else, avoiding police custody. So your firearms are seized as part of a red flag filing. You don't want the police to have your guns. You don't want to take the risks that the police could potentially destroy your gun, or maybe the police lose your gun. It can happen. Can you arrange for someone else to hold on to your firearms? So under red flag laws, the individual whose guns were seized can generally petition the court to have basically an alternate disposition to what would generally happen to that firearm. Right? Again, oftentimes when police seize a firearm, generally they're seizing a firearm as part of a criminal case. And with those, the vast majority of the time, those firearms are eventually going to be destroyed. However, again, a red flag petition, that is a civil matter. So you haven't committed a crime. So it is more likely that the court is going to allow for alternative things to happen to the gun other than destruction, because again, you're not a criminal when a red flag has been filed. So the most common option for an alternative disposition of the firearm is going to be to transfer it to a third party. But this can't just be any third party. The third party, first, they've got to be legally able to possess a firearm. If this person, right, they're a felon or they're underage or anything like that, then yeah, you can't transfer the gun to them. But if they're legally allowed to possess a firearm and they agree to take possession of the firearm and store it safely. So, right, you can't just say, hey, I'm going to transfer it to this person and not tell them, right? They also have to agree to this. If that is the case, then the court can order the transfer of the firearm to them. It's not automatic. It's not like, hey, judge, I have someone to do it. The court still can say no. But if you have someone, they're legally allowed to possess a firearm, they are going to store it safely, we don't have concerns with them having the firearm, oftentimes the court might authorize that. Another option that could be also common, especially if you want to get rid of the firearm, is that you could transfer the firearm to a federal firearms licensee, or what we call an FFL. So an FFL could be, right, all gun dealers, all gun shops, those people are FFLs. So those people can hold on to the firearm for safekeeping, but what they can also do is they could potentially sell the firearm if you wanted to on consignment. And then the proceeds minus the costs are going to go to the original owner, the person whose firearms were taken. So if you're like, hey, I don't want the guns anymore, I don't need to give them to anyone, I just want to get rid of them, that is also an option you can have, and then the proceeds are going to go to you. So these options are options that you can explore maybe before the retention hearing or as part of kind of a settlement if red flag petition has been brought against you. You know, maybe you're like, hey, you're right, I don't need these guns right now. Maybe you recognize you're not in a correct mental state. You could try to go ahead and do this so that way you don't have to go through the petition. Alternatively, maybe the court has ordered them to be seized and you're just like, hey, look, instead of me having to worry about, oh, you know, my grandfather's old gun that he gave me that I really want to keep is going to get destroyed, you could talk to the state, you could talk to your attorney, and they could just figure it out so that way you don't have to worry about that. But again, this does just require a court order. You can't just say, hey, I gave the gun to this person, or I've sold the gun to this person now, so you have to give it to him. No, the court still has to order the gun to be released to that person. So if you have any questions about what could happen to your firearms after they've been seized, or some options you have to either have someone take those firearms or sell those firearms, call the Marc Lopez Law Firm at 317-632-3642. And remember, always plead the fifth.